Shout out to Angel Reed for telling me about the story. They didn't send me a link, but they was telling me about it. And I think they sent it. They told me about it in one of my premiere videos, and then they left me a comment under another that same particular video because they really wanted me to see this. So this person right here, his name is Emanuel Jackson, and if you can look just by the settings and the backgrounds of this picture, you can already tell where he was at. So he was one of the few Negroes that was down there at the invasion of the Capitol. And that's him right there in both of these images. Well, it has just come out that they said that he was one of the people or the person who allegedly assaulted an officer with a baseball bat. Now, I don't think that this was the one, the cop that got killed, because the one that got killed was the one beaten with the fire extinguisher. But I'm gonna go ahead and read this article, and I'm gonna just give my take about it, because it was a couple of things about this that just rubbed me the wrong way about him and the commentary behind it. It says a Capitol riot suspect has turned, or invading suspect has turned himself into authorities after allegedly attacking police officers after punching one cop and swinging at others with a baseball bat during a storming of the federal building earlier this month, according to recent court papers. Emanuel Jackson surrendered to Washington, D.C.'s Metropolitan Police Department on Monday when he admitted that he was involved in the violence of January 6th and went further to positively identify himself in images from the day's events and admitted to assaulting the officers, according to an arrest warrant filed Monday in D.C. federal court. Several photos and videos from the Capitol C show Jackson wearing a dark-colored hooded sweatshirt and a tan backpack and a blue face mask that at times is below his nose or mouth. As a mob made its way up the stairs to the U.S. Capitol building Senate wing entrance around 2 p.m. January 6th, Jackson was allegedly seen on surveillance video making a fist and repeatedly striking a U.S. Capitol police officer while attempting to forcibly enter the building, court papers state. Shortly after 2:45 p.m. when the crowd overpowered the officers, Jackson was allegedly one of the first people through the doors. See, it's the thing. Because it's a sea of palm colored out there, that one speck of pepper is going to stand out. And he was the one. One of probably a few that stood out in that crowd. Hours later, at approximately 4:50 p.m., as the crowd confronted police at the entrance of the Capitol building's West Terrace, Jackson appeared to purportedly be armed with a metal baseball bat. The defendant is observed repeatedly striking a group of both U.S. Capitol and Metropolitan Police Department uniformed officers with the baseball bat, court papers further allege. He was charged Monday with assaulting an officer of the United States, assaulting an officer of the U.S. with a deadly or dangerous weapon, obstruction of an official proceeding, unlawful entry and physical violence on restricted building or grounds, and violent entry and disorderly conduct on Capitol grounds, according to a criminal complaint. Now, he has a little bit more charges attached to him than everybody else because of that bat situation. But I want to know that person who beat that cop to death with the fire extinguisher, have they identified themselves? Because I haven't heard anything about them. But of course, he still has those same three charges that all the other ones have. Now, how much you want to bet his is really, really going to stick? It says an attorney was not yet listed in court records and Jackson could not immediately be reached for comment. Police officials said 56 MPD and Capitol Police officers were injured during the siege. One U.S. CP officer, Brian Sicknick, later died as a result of injuries suffered that day. That's the one that was beat with the fire extinguisher. 4 other people, including Air Force veteran Ashley Babbitt, who we don't care about, died during the insurrection. Now I'm going to pause the video right quick. Now look at this right here. Now this is the image of Emanuel Jackson right here with the bat in his hand. That's him right here. And those are 2 other random people. And that's him with the bat in his hand and he's swinging it right there. No one can really say and give him an alibi and say that someone forcibly was holding his hand and guided him to hit the bat, because no one's hand is wrapped around his wrist. That's him swinging that bat at that point. Number one, don't feel bad for this guy if something does happen to him on a federal charge criminal level. He knew better than to be out there acting a fool with all those other clowns. That's number one. Number 2, I've read through some of the commentary that people have said about this, and immediately I already knew it was going to come up. From Palm Colored, of course, BLM, and Antifa. I knew that was coming, and I saw it so many times. That's actually what drove me to really do this commentary right here, because I knew that's where they were headed at. They figure, oh, here's a black guy, one out of how many that were probably there, one out of not so many, I should say, swinging a bat at a cop, and automatically they say Antifa or BLM. Because, you know, ever since this happened, they've been throwing that onto BLM and Antifa. And trust and believe, I'm not a fan of either one. I always got to give that disclaimer, because if I don't, then they'll try to say that I'm this, or I'm supporting this, or I'm supporting that. Because, you know, there's a lot of brain dead individuals in this world who just, you know, that thing that sits on the head is just like more like an ornament. It's just decoration. It's nothing there. It's just hollow, because a brain definitely does not occupy that space. But I kept seeing BLM and Antifa, and I knew that was going to happen. That's why I said black people should not have been out there, because I knew that was going to happen. But you have some renegades, some rebels who think that they out there fighting for their own rights. Trust and believe, they ain't thinking about your rights in that moment. They thinking about theirs. You are a non-factor. You were just there. You are just there. And let's be real. He had no other choice but to turn himself in. Why? Because he stood out like a sore thumb. Now, if he wore gloves, some glasses, a hat, they would have been able to identify him, because his face and hands would have been covered. So they couldn't identify him. But this guy has his whole face out, pulled his mask down a few times, and he's a black man in a sea of palm coloredness. What did you think was going to happen? Like, seriously, he's lucky that he was in a not in a mixed, but in a very wide crowd, and not by himself. Because let's not forget what happened to that black woman, Miriam Carey, a few years ago, when she drove her car into the gate because she was having a mental breakdown. Of course, you know, in society, in American society, black people don't have mental illnesses, even if it's documented that they do by their physician, because apparently we're all in our right state of mind, and only palm color can have mental illnesses. But we ain't gonna get into all of that. Drove her car right there, came out, guns ready, and shot that woman multiple times while her daughter was in the back seat. The only reason they didn't get him like that is because he wasn't alone. But I don't feel bad for this dude. If something happens to him, so be it. So be it. You have some brain dead Negroes out here who think they can go and do everything and with everyone, and that nothing will happen to them. How many examples do you need to see? Because I bet you they're going to make an example out of him. And how much you want to bet they probably going to really focus on him? Because, you know, it's so many other people out there that they could have, you know, that they claim that they've given these charges to and whatnot. But then you have people like this idiot right here doing what he did, like a dumbass. I feel absolutely nothing should anything fall upon him. It is what it is. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this down in the comments. Like, share, subscribe. If you haven't done so already, make sure that you text the number that is pinned down in the comments below, so you can receive notifications every time I upload a new video, and I'll talk to you in the next one.